So ever since I've made my first tier list video, ranking every Roblox fan killer kills and 51 killer and boss from worst to best, people in my comment section have practically been begging me to make a similar video for all of the guns within SAKTK, because for some reason people think that my opinion is always correct. Spoiler alert, it always is. And yeah, before you go down to the comments and ask me again to make another tier list video on the killers when the new ability update drops, don't bother because I've already got that video planned. See, look, it's already on my video ideas list. Do need a few more video ideas, I'm running out here. But first, what are we going to be ranking these guns off of? Well, I think it's only appropriate that we base this tier list off of factors such as damage, reload time, mag size, bullet speed, basically just how useful the gun is, plus any extra opinions that I might have. Sorry, it's a tier list video, it's going to be biased. The design, rarity, or how difficult a gun is to obtain will not be taken into account, however. As a special bonus, we're not just going to be covering the guns either. No, we're also going to be including any other miscellaneous weapons in the game as well, such as the landmine and the monkey bomb. Sure, they might all be sitting in F tier collecting dust by the end of the video, but hey, why not add them as well? And just as a heads up, I'm also going to be including two very specific pack-a-punch weapons on this list. Why only these two, you might ask? Well, mostly because these weapons in particular have quirks to them or abilities that make them entirely different from their normal counterparts. So I'll count them as a different weapon. You know, they're not like most pack-a-punch weapons where they just buff the damage, buff the ammo size, and that's it. Of course, I think we all know how a tier list works, but for those of you who are uneducated in the language known as gamer, basically S tier means the best of the best, almost flawless, and as you descend down the tier list, the contents get worse and worse until you reach the depths of the F tier, where the bottom of the barrel bad, worst of the worst weapons of all time live. Oh yeah, and one final thing, the reason why it's taken me like 3 years to make a tier list on all of the weapons in this game is mostly because they have different terms of usefulness in each of the modes. For example, there could be a weapon that's like amazing in killer mode, but hot trash in boss rush mode. So for this reason, I'm going to be basing this tier list off of classic, killer, and juggernaut mode only, to keep things less complicated. I mean, this is what an endless survival mode tier list would look like. Is this what you want? Anyway, enough fooling around. Let's get into the tier list. First on our list is the AK-47. Now, this gun is alright. In fact, it's actually quite unique, it being the only gun in the game to be made out of union parts instead of mesh parts. But yeah, the AK-47 is pretty solid. It has a decent mag size, good reload time, okay damage. It also falls into the self-made gun category I like to call the WWE trio. World Wrestling Entertainment? What do you want about? No, in this video it stands for weapons which eat poop or function the exact same and also happen to be automatic weapons. Yep. You see, there are two more of these guns that are basically carbon copies of the AK-47 that fit into this category, but we'll get into those a bit later. Yeah, not every gun was created equally for this game, sorry, but that's why we're creating a tier list. The AK-47 isn't peak mediocrity or anything, it's just nothing too crazy, and for that I'll give it a decent C tier. The next weapon on our list is a gun you guys probably don't even know exists, because it's so rare, and that is the AN-94. Or the AN-94. Maybe it's just me, but this thing in Juggernaut mode like never shows up ever. Like it's got like 4 spawning locations and that's it. Like it's not even that good. Why is it so rare? Good? No. Fun to use? Absolutely. In fact, I think the AN-94 might be my favorite weapon to play with in the entirety of SAKTK, mostly because this thing's bullet speed is the fastest out of any gun. Not to mention its recoil is off the charts, made even more insane by the double tap perk in Endless Survival mode. But we're not talking about Endless Survival mode in this video, so that factor is irrelevant. The last 7 seconds of your life will be erased from your memory shortly. Look behind you. But yeah, regardless of how fun the gun is to use, like the AK-47, it's decent. I think I'm gonna place it in B tier? B tier. Hey look, it's the gun that everyone in killer mode uses so they don't get called a ray gun spammer. Of course its damage is amazing, it being a sniper and all, plus its reload time and mag size aren't too bad either. But man, I just can't aim with this thing for the life of me, and I hope I'm not alone on that one. I think when using the AWP, whether I actually hit my target or not, heavily depend on the killer that I'm facing. If I'm going against someone like Granny or the Rake, since they have massive hitboxes, I'm going to soak in a ton of damage with the AWP and get headshots all over the place. But if I'm going against a killer like Chucky or Tails Doll, killers that have tiny hitboxes, or just any other killer in general, well, let's just say I'm gonna end up hitting everything but those killers. Of course, you could say the same about every other gun in the game, but I don't know, the AWP really leans into this theory. The timing between shots isn't super great either. Like, it's not terrible, but not as good as some of the other guns in this list. And because of those factors, after a lot of thought, I'm also gonna put the AWP in B tier, I think. Above the AN94, of course, but just barely. Don't get me wrong, I really wanted to put this weapon in A tier, but I just can't. I'm not very good at it, and this tier list is based on my thoughts, not the community's thoughts, so sorry if you disagree with me, but I just don't like the op. But anyway, what's the next weapon on our list? Oh no. Now, before I get into where I would rank this ranged weapon, it's not a gun, it doesn't shoot bullets, what else do you want me to call it? I want to tell you a little bedtime story. Now, back in 2021, before I knew what the hell I was doing on YouTube and made thumbnails that looked like this, I had a friend that I would always play SAKTK Juggernaut mode with, just for fun. And whenever one of us found the crossbow, he would always preach about how amazing and underappreciated the weapon was. Sadly, I've lost all contact with this person, but if he still happens to watch my videos, I have just one question for him. And this question is very simple. How is the crossbow good? It sucks. Yeah, it does moderately big damage, but the thing barely has any ammo, and the arrows take 79 years to explode. And the aiming with this thing is, dare I say, worse than the AWP, because the arrows shoot at a snail's pace, so good luck hitting anything at all, especially with a fast-moving target like the Juggernaut. I just can't see how some people think this weapon is good. Like, how? How? Please tell me in the comments. Maybe I'm just unworthy. But yeah, the crossbow is just abysmal. Our first F tier weapon, and it likely won't be the last. Oh yeah, there are some weapons worse than the crossbow in this game, unfortunately. So anyway, now the crossbow isn't bad, Ash. You're just bad. Who are you? Are you the guy who always tells me that the crossbow is actually good in Juggernaut mode? Oh wait. You're my clone from the last video. What happened to you? You look like you came straight out of a Tim Burton movie. Okay, forget I asked then. Unlike the crosspoop, the next weapon on our list is far better than anything we've even talked about so far. The DB shotgun. Oh my freaking flipping fish face, is this weapon broken? Oh wait, I already made that joke in the last video. The damage on the DB shotgun is tremendous when up close. I mean, it can literally one-shot any killer in killer mode without being pack-punched. Not only that, but its mag size is also not too bad, and its reload time is way too fast for what this thing deserves. It's not the best for crowd control, but if you need to do big damage to a single target fast, the DB shotgun is your best friend, especially in Juggernaut mode. I see this thing all the time. Congrats, DB shotgun. You're our first S tier weapon. Notice how I said first, but we'll get into that a bit later. The Desert Eagle, or Deagle, being removed from the game is essentially what would happen if I left the SAKTK Discord server. People would care for about a week, nothing at all would change, and eventually people would go back to their daily routine. I mean, the Deagle is essentially just the M1911, but a bit bulkier, with slower bullet speed, and does a bit more damage. I don't know, I can't really tell. If you can't tell, then why are you making a tier list on them? Why are you even including them in the first place? What do you mean? Yeah, I can tell. Can you, actually stop complaining and interrupting my tier list, please? Go back to X, formerly known as https://twitter.com, please. You can go and complain there. If you want to know how I really feel about the Deagle, here is my completely unscripted and honest reaction of me finding it in Juggernaut mode. Is that the Desert Eagle? Okay. The only real thing that makes the Deagle maybe a bit better than the M1911 is the decrease in recoil and increase in damage and mag size. I mean, that alone might not even be enough of an upgrade, seeing it has many qualities that make it worse than the M1911, but I'm sure we'll find the answer to that question later in the video. So yeah, I'm just gonna put the Deagle in D tier. It's usable, unlike the crossbow, just not a very good gun, obviously. Oh, but you know what's worse than a gun that can do damage? That's right, a gun that can't do any damage. Like at all. Introducing the freeze gun. It barely even qualifies as a gun because it doesn't do any damage. Nope. Not even when it's pack-a-punched. Like the name of the weapon suggests, all it does is freeze its target in a nice square ice cube. The intended use of the freeze gun is that after your enemy is frozen, you can then use your other weapons to kill them off easily, because they're not able to move around as much, you get it. But of course, we're only talking about the freeze gun itself, and despite it having one of the coolest gun designs in the entirety of SAKTK, sadly it just can't compete with literally any other weapon on this list. F tier for the freeze gun, I'm afraid, but I think the placement of this weapon was obvious from the start. Next up is the G36C, or the G36C. Yeah, even I don't know how to say these gun names in this game, and I've been playing SAKTK for 7 years. Go figure. Like the previously mentioned AK-47 weapon, the G36C is another member of the WWE gun trio. Yeah, we're calling it that now. And, well, that's because the G36C is essentially a carbon copy of the AK-47. So, sorry about that. Both of their mag sizes, damage, and recoil are the exact same. Nope, they are the exact same. Not even an exaggeration. Yeah, they're essentially just one-to-one copies of each other besides their design. See what I mean? But wait, there is something else that sets them apart, albeit a very slight difference, and that is their reload time. You see, if we take the sound files for both of these weapons as they are reloading and plug them into an audio editing program, you will notice that the G36C reload time is ever so slightly faster than the AK-47. If we have to split hairs like this to find a better gun in this game, then so be it. I'll be seeing you all at the Roblox Innovation Awards for this groundbreaking discovery. Anyway, yeah, the G36C goes right above the AK-47, where it belongs. Next up on our list, we have the landmine. Yeah, I said I was gonna rank every single weapon, not just the guns in this game. And oh man, is the landmine just a fan favorite at that. Everyone loves this weapon so much. Jokes aside, the landmine being SAKTK's only balanced game pass hasn't done it any favors. It's essentially just a worse version of the crossbow. You just place the landmine on the ground and it'll be stuck there forever until a killer walks over it, causing a massive explosion, which deals a moderate amount of damage, or when you pass away. Yeah, the landmine actually disappears after you die. Bet you didn't know that. Hello, don't be alarmed, AshCat from the future here. While I was editing this video, SAKTK updated and added a feature where you can now pick up your landmine after you've placed it down. Yeah, this is a helpful update, sure, but it doesn't change my reasoning for putting the landmine at this spot on the tier list. Just wanted to mention that because I know someone's gonna write a comment about it. Enjoy the rest of the video. But yeah, you're never gonna be using the landmine as a priority weapon. It'll spend most of its life collecting dust in either your inventory or in your hotbar. So I bet you can already guess a weapon worse than the crossbow is also going to find its way into F tier. So yeah, we'll just put it there and forget about it forever. But you know what we won't forget about? That's right, the M1014. Even though it's like super rare in Juggernaut mode and only spawns in the most inconvenient spot in Classic and Killer mode, yeah, this gun is a little forgettable, but that factor doesn't change my mind on where I want this gun to stand in the tier list. Similarly to the busted DB shotgun, the M1014 is, well, of course, another shotgun, albeit with a few changes. The most notable of these is, besides its objectively sleeker design, is its reload time, because it takes a while for the M1014 to fully load, like, look at this. However, it's not a strict downgrade from the DB shotgun. For one, the M1014 has absolutely no recoil, and has double the magazine capacity, albeit with a little less damage, making it not better than the DB shotgun, but still a very powerful weapon for close range damage. I'll give it a nice healthy A tier, but I think the reload time and damage holds it back for me. I have very mixed feelings about the M14. On one hand, I think it's a very funny meme gun to use without shame, but on the other, whenever I find the M14 in Juggernaut mode specific, the killer is always either Leatherface, Captain Zombie, or some other very overpowered entity that I inevitably end up dying to. As someone who's worked on SAKTK in the past, I can tell you with 100% certainty that this is a real feature in the game, and not one that I'm making up because maybe I just have trouble accepting that I'm bad at a video game. No. This is exactly why you can't use the crossbow, Ash. Stop going on about the crossbow! But anyway, with that aside, the M14 is just fine. It's fine. It did get quite the buff recently, so it does way more damage than it used to, but even that doesn't really save it. Yeah, it's got no recoil, has a boatload of ammo and quick reload time, but man is this thing just sluggish to use. Aiming with this thing isn't impossible, but it feels like it is. Plus the time between shots isn't too great either. It's not as bad as it used to be, but still nowhere near the best. D tier seems appropriate. But you know what is near the best? Oh yeah, the M16A2. I swear, whenever I get this gun in Juggernaut mode, it always puts a smile on my face. There truly is something quite enjoyable blasting your foes with bullets midway through throwing a grenade at them. This is the sheer power of the M16A2. It's like if the upcoming MP5K weapon and the crossbow fused and underwent polymerization. Its mag size is pretty dang good, the reload time isn't too shabby, and to add some extra flavor to this already masterpiece of a weapon, it's got a scope for long range targets, although nobody uses it ever. However, even with all of this, sadly it still doesn't catch up to the sheer power and damage per second that both the M1014 and DB shotgun have to offer, as it just isn't as good as those two weapons at a close range. Just because something doesn't have any flaws doesn't mean it's perfect either. Alas, I still think that the M16A2 more than deserves the A tier ranking. The next weapon up on our list is the M1911. Now, people seem to have more to say about this thing than the average Roblox commentary channel who uses these types of thumbnails, along with a very clickbaity title, something along the lines of "Roblox just did this," when the entire video is just talking about a less than mediocre Roblox update that might be coming soon, stretched out to over 8 minutes long for that juicy ad revenue. Now, I have nothing personal against the people who do this, nothing personal at all, we all have to make money at the end of the day. But I swear, if I ever get to the point on YouTube that I get so desperate that I need to report on Roblox news topics like Builder Man swearing or something like that, stop me. Stop me at all costs. Do whatever it takes. Take all of my money away. Make my future partner break up with me. Do whatever it takes to bring my originality back. Yes, because my channel is 100% original. Totally. Anyway, now that I'm finished making fun of the other people who use this platform, we can actually talk about the M1911, the absolute best gun in the entire game. Okay, not really, but I've seen some crazy people out there say that, which makes me very worried for not only their sanity, but mental well-being. Like, are you guys okay? The M1911 isn't that good. The M1911, in my opinion, is just kind of like the M14. It's just fine. I never really feel comfortable 1v1ing the Juggernaut with it because it runs out of ammo rather quickly. Yeah, this thing has quite the tiny mag size. Not to mention it basically does friggin' no damage at all. However, its reload time is not half bad. Same with its recoil. I think I'll put the M1911 in E tier. Please don't hit me, Juggernaut players, I don't like this gun, okay? Up next, we have the famous and beloved M4A1. Similarly to the previous weapon we just talked about, I've seen some people absolutely simp hard for this gun. Like, almost as much as Aberration. And we all know how I feel about Aberration. So to keep things fair, I'm going to apply the same logic to the M4A1. So that all the M4A1 fans write a comment on how incorrect I am about their favorite gun. In reality, again though, sorry for breaking this news to you, but the M4A1 is the last member of SAKTK's WWE trio, which I made up. So yeah, the M4A1 is in fact a clone of the G36C and the AK-47. Or it's the other way around, I don't know. Despite what the wiki tells you, they have the exact same mag size, same recoil, same damage, or at least it's stupidly similar, I can't really tell. Man, automatic weapons in this game really got thrown into the dumpster. However, there is a teeny tiny difference between these three guns that would determine the M4A1's placement on the tier list. Its reload time. Once again, like we did with the G36C and the AK-47, if we extract the sound files for each of these guns while they are reloading, we can determine which gun reloads slightly faster than the others, and therefore finding the superior weapon. And well, the result didn't shock me at all, because the M4A1 is indeed slightly faster than the other two WWE weapons. Let's go! Because of this massive and noticeable difference, we will place the M4A1 slightly above its clones within the confines of C tier, where they rightfully belong. Finally, we're moving on to the better Game Pass weapon in SAKTK, the MG42. I swear to God, ranking all of these automatic weapons fairly in this game has been the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life, besides getting out of bed in the morning. Anyway, the MG42 is pretty dang good. It serves as an upgrade from the WWE weapons that we talked about previously, by not only having a tremendously large mag size and ammo count, but also the fact that it has no recoil, meaning that this thing absolutely dominates close range battles and 1v1s. However, it also has a few downsides. It has the longest reload time out of any weapon, and the bullet spread on this thing is rather silly, meaning if you're attacking from a distance, you'll probably end end up hitting everything but your target. Even with these problems though, I still think it's worthy of a nice solid B tier, above the AN94. Seems appropriate. Hooray! We can talk about something that doesn't shoot bullets again, the monkey bomb. And if you've never heard of this weapon before, or you have no idea that it even existed, that's because you can only obtain this thing out of the mystery box within endless survival mode. Yes, I know I said at the start of the video that I would only be ranking guns based on classic, killer, and juggernaut mode, but since the monkey bomb only appears in endless survival mode, I'm willing to make an exception. And honestly, for the weapon, this weapon being as rare as it isn't really worth getting a ton of these things. Basically how the monkey bomb works is that if you throw it near a pack of killers, they'll get distracted by it and target it instead of you before the bomb explodes and deals a large amount of damage. On the early rounds that is. Plus, this thing's explosion radius shares many similarities to your mother. They are both quite large. A lot of people use this weapon more or less to lead killers away from them. It's not really used so much for the damage, and I heard it can be quite helpful in the later rounds where you're being overwhelmed, so it's not completely useless after all. Because of its unique and slightly useful ability, and because we're ranking this thing based off of how useful it is on endless survival alone, I'll put it in E tier? E tier. Yeah, E tier. Ash, why do you have so many wrong opinions? Oh my god, shut up, please! Just go and make your own tier list if your opinions are that sensitive. This is my own tier list. My opinions, not your opinions, not the community's opinions, just... Oh. Guess they're gone, I made them disappear, nice. The MP5K is a criminally underrated weapon. At first glance, you might think that the MP5K could be the WWE trio's newest member, however you would be greatly mistaken, and plus my cool gun naming system wouldn't work anymore. The MP5K is in fact more powerful than the M41, G36C, and AK-47, although just barely, trust me. It has the same ammo, mag size, and similar damage as the previously mentioned weapons, however it has far less recoil and a quicker reload time, making it actually better despite its teeny tiny toddler appearance. However, I don't think that it deserves anything higher than a C tier, so that's where it shall live for the rest of its life. Or at least until I make an eventual update to this video when I'm still playing this game in my mid-20s. Finally, I get to talk about one of the two Pack-a-Punch weapons on this list, the Mustang 19, also known as the Pack-a-Punch M1911. Honestly, I can't remember the reason why I even wanted to add the Pack-a-Punch weapons onto this list. Spoiler alert, both of them aren't even above the C tier. Anyway, the thing that makes the Mustang 19 so different from the M1911 is because the bullets explode. And I know what you're thinking. Whoa, the bullets explode like the crossbow's arrows on the M16A2's grenades? Both of those guns do so much damage, so surely the Mustang 19 has got to be good, right? And when this gun was first released back in 2018, it was actually the best gun in the entire game. At this point in time, the weapon not only dealt absolutely ludicrous amounts of damage to everything, I mean it could literally one-shot any killer on killer mode and endless survival all the way up to round 100, but it also had the potential for splash damage, you know, hitting multiple targets at once. So what exactly happened to the Pack-a-Punch M1911, also known as the Mustang 19? Well, it got a big nerf. A really, really big nerf. I'm confident that the Mustang 19 is the reason why Homer is much more keen on buffing weak things as opposed to nerfing stronger things nowadays, because man is the Mustang 19 just not worth using at all anymore. The only perk I can see for using this weapon is that it has a super secret and completely intentional feature of setting your opponent's computer on fire. Nope, I'm not joking. If you shoot the Mustang 19 about half a dozen times at an opponent, their device will lag so unbelievably hard, it is honestly unfair. Of course, this only applies to actual players, but still. However, besides that perk, the Mustang 19 not only has the smallest ammo size in the entire game, only having 3 clips available until you have to make your way back to an ammo box, but its explosions really don't do as much damage as you think they do. Of course, the splash damage helps the crowd control, but the main reason why the M16A2's grenades were so good is because they dealt massive damage as well, something that the Mustang 19 can't really say that it has. I mean, at least it's balanced, I guess. I can't imagine going into a Juggernaut server nowadays and everyone in the game instantly pack-a-punches all of their M1911s to deal over 20 gazillion damage to me in a single second, ending the round instantly. Oh wait, silly me, that already happens, it's Juggernaut. I think the Mustang 19 belongs in D tier. Change my mind if you want in the comments, but man, is it just a pathetic shell of its former self. Top 10 biggest downfalls in history. But you know a gun that has only gotten better through the updates, besides the M14? That's right, the fan favorite P90. Once again, I have to emphasize that this automatic gun is not part of the WWE gun trio, like I mentioned earlier. I'm sorry, I have to point that out or I'm gonna get comments about it. Just do your research yourself, look on the wiki, look at the mag size, look at the recoil, look at everything. You know, I actually read every single YouTube comment. Bet you didn't know that. Unlike most YouTubers, yeah, I want to see what people have to say at me, and not because I'm very sensitive to people's opinions or anything. No. I think of the P90 as a direct equivalent to most of the popular games on Roblox. They're just copies of something else, but worse. Don't get me wrong, there are some Roblox games out there that take inspiration from something else that are actually good. Like Arsenal, for example. It's inspired off of CSGO. Whatever that game is. Listen, I don't play many games in my free time anymore. I'm too busy sitting in silence in my chair every evening, wondering where it all went wrong. But Arsenal is surprisingly fun. Only when everyone else in your server sucks at the game, but what are you gonna do, huh? But then you have games like Fortnite Roleplay, Pokemon Toilet Farts, which is sadly now content deleted F in chat, or who could forget classics like SpongeBob. I almost feel bad for some of the developers who use this platform and make genuinely good games. Oh, I'm sorry, experiences. It's the equivalent of cleaning your apartment until it's spotless before your friends come over for a nice evening. Then your annoying roommate comes home early to wreck all of your hard work. So you just look messy and uncaring in front of all of your friends, severing any relationship that you had with them so they never talk with you ever again. Anyway, I'm just kidding around. The P90 isn't really a clone of the MG42. They're just kind of similar, I guess. They both have a ton of ammo, big mag sizes, and yeah, I'm gonna be honest, it's getting really hard to commentate over this video, and I'm running out of jokes, like a 7th automatic weapon or something. I don't know, I haven't been keeping track. Yeah, we'll just throw the P90 into B tier then. If you disagree with me, make sure you tell me in the comments. Remember, I read them all. Woohoo! The other Pack-a-Punch weapon on this list, the R1 Shadow Hunter, also known as the Pack-a-Punch crossbow. So what makes this weapon different to its normal counterpart? Well, not much, I'll tell you that. But honestly, it's enough of a change where I would count it as its own weapon. But just barely. I wish the R1 Shadow Hunter actually hunted shadows like its name suggested, because all it does is that when you shoot an arrow near some NPC killers, they'll for some reason target it instead of you, similarly to the monkey bomb. Except it's not that simple. You see, right before the arrow is about to explode, the killers realize how stupid they are and begin to target you again. So yeah, it's kind of like having 12 half-decent monkey bombs crammed into a weapon. Maybe that's the secret to how this weapon was made. Can you imagine slicing up 12 monkey bombs and using their skin to create arrows? Totally correct and confirmed theories aside, the R1 Shadow Hunter, as you might have guessed already, isn't that good. And mostly because, you know, the arrow follow ability doesn't work on normal players, or anyone with a pulse for that matter. So, you know, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of the gun having its ability, so you know, it's just kind of a buffed up version of the crossbow at this point, and we all know how we feel about the crossbow. It's not that good. So yeah, I'm just gonna place it in E tier. Wasn't sure whether to place it above or below the monkey bomb. They both have their own ups and downs. Next, we move on to the weapon that haunts my Juggernaut mode rounds. Everywhere I go, I see it. The R870, also known as the Remington. I don't understand how some of you guys can use this weapon. It's just so mediocre. Is it a shotgun? Yeah. Does it deal big damage at a close range? Well, sometimes, yeah. But man, is its reload time just awful. Look at this. Not to mention the time between shots is laughable. I remember back in the day that there was a glitch where you could just rapidly equip and unequip this thing to skip the timer. And even then, it was only moderately good. B tier at most. Yeah, you know a gun is bad when it needed a glitch for it to be meta. Maybe I'm just bad with it myself, but the R870 also feels like the bullets hit everything else but the target. Reminds me of a certain other gun that we discussed earlier. Go ahead, disagree with me in the comments and tell me that I'm wrong, but I'm placing the R870 in E tier. I just can't use this thing for the life of me. Finally, I can talk about the worst SAKTK weapon. No, I don't mean the ray gun is bad or anything. I mean that people really hate this thing. Try it. Use a ray gun in killer mode and I guarantee you that someone in chat will have a tantrum over it. Oh no, I'm using the best gun in the game. Whoa, can't stop me. Might be a hot take here, but I think using the DB shotgun or AWP within killer mode is actually worse than using the ray gun. I mean, those two guns in particular actually insta-kill. The ray gun kills you in like, what, 3 hits or something like that, which, you know, it's still overpowered, but not as bad as those two guns. Now I compare using the ray gun to being in a bad breakup. When you have the ray gun, you feel on top of the world. You feel like you could do anything. The greatest power of all is in your hands. You are you feel invincible. But when the ray gun is used against you, you start panicking, getting mad because your health is going down so quick. Gotta hate the ray gun. Help! Its ammo size is pretty dang good, its reload time isn't half bad, and it does insane amounts of damage, making most Juggernaut rounds a cakewalk. Yeah, the ray gun is the best gun in the game, and it's not really close besides killer mode, because for some reason it only got nerfed in there and nowhere else. Why does the ray gun spawn in the cargo area in Juggernaut mode? Like why? Our second S tier weapon and best overall. You probably knew that the second you clicked on this video. Now the next weapon on our list is a little different to the others that we've discussed so far. Hey Ash, I finished my tier list. Ash? Oh come on, I didn't throw it that hard. While Ash slowly heals from quite possibly life-threatening brain damage, I suppose I'll have to commentate over this one. The next weapon on our list is the Rock. Oh wait, sorry, wrong image, I don't know how to make YouTube videos. Ah, there we go, correct image. The Rock. Now, this weapon is very special, as it is exclusive to the AR-51 Storming game mode's Rock Thrower class. As you can imagine, a pebble taken straight from the ground beneath your feet, it is certainly a lot more of an accessible weapon to find in real life compared to finding a pickle with a scope, or a toy gun that you can find under a counter at your local corner shop. Even with this giant advantage, I have come to the conclusion that the Rock simply isn't a very good weapon. Not only is throwing this thing a nightmare in its own right, it barely does any damage at all, and you have to wait for a few seconds for another to materialize miraculously in your hands again. Where does the Rock come from? We are in a desert. How do we fit these stones in our pockets? Why can't we pick up guns? Why is there no Pack-a-Punch machine to Pack-a-Punch the Rock? Is Pack-a-Punching a lump of earth even possible? Hey! Why are you commentating on my video? Sorry, I thought I would take over because you were knocked out by a random rock that came from my direction. Randomly. Okay then. We'll just put the Rock in F tier. I'm going to assume that the reasoning has been explained already. Hopefully. And now we move on to the final weapon of this tier list, the SVD. Ending it on a high note because this weapon is just insane. The SVD is better than the other sniper counterpart in almost every way. Sure, its reload time isn't the best and it doesn't have insane amounts of ammo or anything, but just look at the damage on this thing. Plus the time between shots is pretty dang good for a sniper. Not to mention it has a mag size that's way too good for it. Like this thing can take care of entire Juggernaut rounds on its own. Yay, our third S tier weapon, at least in my opinion. But a high A tier is also a possibility. And there we go, that's every Roblox fan kills and AR-51 weapon ranked worst to best. Of course, like I said in the beginning, my opinion is entirely factual and there is no room for disagreement. I can't wait for the RA-70 crossbow and AWP fans who will surely find my real life location and post my longitude and latitude coordinates online, along with a picture of my house simply because I'm bad at the video game and therefore have different opinions and experiences to them. I still don't entirely know why I included any Pack-a-Punch weapons, or any non-gun weapons for that matter. They're all terrible. Hey Ash. Alrighty, let's have a look at this tier list then. Seems like you missed a few guns. Huh, that's weird. I'm pretty sure that I included everything, besides the monkey bomb, and the landmine, and the... Nice try. You should start running. I'll give you 10 seconds.